All right, Olive, I've got another episode for you. I want to call this one It'll Be in the DSM 7, except by the time you actually see this, there probably will be a DSM 7, and this still won't be in it. So, certain things like ADHD and OCD and whatever's currently in the DSM 5, um, if I go over to some psychologist and we try and figure out what's going on in my brain, he might be running his finger through a book, like OCD, ADHD, or something like that. But I like to present the idea that there are diagnoses that will exist that don't yet. And if someone has that, if I have that, we're never going to figure it out until it's in their book. Because the problem is the therapist is going through their book, flipping pages, when really the actual right answer isn't in that book. It's outside of it. It doesn't exist yet. It does. It's just not in the book. And I feel like people that do really well in school are people that are really good at focusing at what's in the book. People that cannot help themselves but think outside of the book and think about all these other options just aren't going to do good in a school setting. And I think that's part of the problem, and maybe why I'd be kind of a hypocrite to not speak up a little bit on this. But basically, as far as like let's say I have auditory dyslexia. I don't believe there's any such thing, but maybe at some point someone's going to hear that and be like, wait a minute, I suppose that's possible. And they start looking into it and studying it, and maybe 30 years from now they'll be like, wow, this is a whole thing. Lots of people probably had this and could have helped them had we known. And I guess that's what science is, and we'll get there when we get there. For the most part, I think diagnosis it's almost irrelevant, because unfortunately they're still going to expect the same things from you and everyone else. And we live in the society where D's get diplomas. For me in school, my grades were always A's or fails. There was never anything in between. I'm either ace in a class or I'm failing it badly. And unfortunately, you can't really get through. You can't pass that way. And it's like the strengths that I might have had in certain subjects like math and English, it's like they don't get recognized or really counted so long as I have these deficiencies. And meanwhile, people can just get C's across the board and not really be particularly strong in anything and do just fine. Those are the people that this world is more or less built for. If you're one of those people, you'll have some problems, but they're everyone's problems. They're very relatable problems. People that have different strengths and weaknesses, different tools in their bag, they have different problems, and that can be a lonely place to be. I will say one thing with ADHD is, in my time, at the time I'm making this video, well, it's actually probably been changing over the last 10 years. But when I was in school, which is probably the time that it would be most impactful, the whole idea was to just put them on meds. And all those meds didn't really help the kids. They helped the kids around those kids. You take a bunch of Ritalin or whatever, and it just kind of makes you just space out. And it's like, you're not focused, you're just quiet. You're not being disruptive anymore. So it's not even helping the kid, it's just helping the other kids around this kid. It's obviously not a solution. I had a little bit of a moment, like when I was in the Army, we went to a friend's cabin in Pennsylvania, and when we got there, a spring had popped up. It's like a seasonal spring, and flooded his cabin. And there's nothing we could do about that spring, but what we were able to do was divert the water around the cabin, and it worked. And it didn't really take that much, but I remember when I saw that, I thought to myself, that's ADHD, or ADD, whatever it should be called, but hyperfocus or selective focus, I don't know. But something like ADHD, for a person that has that, you can't stop that. You can't just throw pills at it. But what you can do is you can divert it. And so hopefully by the time that you're coming up in the world, maybe you won't have the struggles in school that I did, but hopefully by the time there'll be more options for people like you, where you don't have to take these classes that you're not going to do well at. You don't have to focus on these areas that they're never ever going to really be in your tool bag. Hopefully by the time you start coming of age, our society's figured out how to train you, how to put your strengths to work. And we talk about it in my time about these success stories, people like Elon Musk and whatnot, that they're like mad geniuses, but they're kind of the lucky ones. Like most people that have those kinds of that kind of intelligence, well, some of them end up in the loony bin. They just do not function well in society. Um, so all I'm going to say, I mean, hopefully you don't have ADHD. I mean, probably being normal is probably the best thing anyone can be in this world right now. But if you have your strengths and weaknesses, and you're kind of the way that I am, I was just gonna say you can't stop the ADHD, but you can focus it. If something's not working over here, go over here. Find ways to make it easier for your mom. Find ways to not have it. Do something. I was pretty good at keeping myself disruptive in class by drawing. Although later when I got to college, there were some teachers that like was a personal attack to them. That I was. It's just what I do. Like when I'm listening, I'm not making eye contact. I'm drawing, but that's when I'm listening. If I just put everything away and try and sit still, I don't hear a word anyone's saying. I have to be drawing something or doing or touching something. And for a lot of teachers I had in college, that was like, man, I've had great teachers, and I've had some teachers that are absolutely the most pretentious, pompous people. And unfortunately, they're the ones guarding the gate in my time. So hopefully in your time, things will change a little bit. But anyways, that's the end of this episode. It'll be in the DSM someday.